In just 13 years, he conquered an empire spanning Europe, Asia, and Africa, ushering in a new age of Hellenism. Napoleon Bonaparte was one of his admirers, remarking that he was one of the 4 famous military leaders in history that he ranks first, alongside Hannibal, Caesar, and Gustavus Adolphus. The man is the king of Macedon, Alexander the Great, a well-known European military genius. Later generations considered him to be one of the most influential leaders in human history. Each hero also has a legendary animal associated with them. Bucephalus, the warhorse of Alexander, is without a doubt one of the greatest warhorses in history. He participated in nearly all the great conquerors' pitched battles unto the end of the earth. Today we will retell their story that took place in the ancient kingdom of Macedon around the year 340 BC. The rise of Macedon, a kingdom in northern classical Greece, is attributable to Alexander's father, Philip II. His reformation of the army and extensive use of the siege engines during his reign allowed him to conquer and consolidate political control over the majority of classical Greece. After defeating the Greek city-states of Athens and Thebes at the Battle of Chaeronea in 338 BC, Philip II led the effort to establish a federation of Greek states, known as the League of Corinth. He planned an invasion of the Achaemenid Empire of Persia. However, his assassination by a royal bodyguard, Pausanias of Orestis, led to the immediate succession of his son Alexander, who would go on to invade the Achaemenid Empire in his father's stead. When Alexander was young, he surprised everyone, including her father. And as a result, he was highly praised by those around him. This young boy, at 13, successfully tamed a wild horse. Even his father failed. The story between Alexander and Bucephalus begins in 346 BCE. Bucephalus was first offered to Philip II by a horse trader of Thessaly, taller than the normal Macedonian steed. Bucephalus had a huge price tag at 13 talents, which was around 3 times the cost of the average horse. Bucephalus is described as a massive creature with a massive head, having a black coat with a large white star on his brow. Its breed was that of the best Thessalian strain. Thessaly offered rich pasture lands, excellent for raising all types of grazers. Horses from Pharsalus noted for their quality were branded with an ox head, or Bucephalus. So, Bucephalus got his name from the Greek words bu and kephalos. Bu means ox, and kephalos means head. Some historians believe that Bucephalus was an Akalteki. They have a reputation for speed and endurance, intelligence, and a distinctive metallic sheen. These horses are adapted to severe climatic conditions, and are thought to be one of the oldest existing horse breeds. No one was able to manage it as it was too vicious and would rear when anyone sought to ride it. Philip was not interested.
I'll ride him.
But 13-year-old Alexander insisted he could tame the mighty horse. Alexander made a deal with his father that if he failed to tame Bucephalus, he would pay for the horse himself.
I'll pay you.
The whole company laughed at his rashness.
His mind is broken.
Alexander calmly approached him, speaking soothingly to the stallion. Realizing that Bucephalus was distressed by the sight of his shadow, he calmly turned the horse's head toward the sun. After this, Alexander was able to bridle him and mount him, taming the incredible stallion. This astounded Philip II and everyone. And Philip II expressed his heartfelt admiration for his son. "O my son, look thee out a kingdom equal to and worthy of thyself, for Macedonia is too little for thee." Alexander named this horse Bucephalus. Since then, Bucephalus served Alexander in numerous battles as one of his chargers. Because horses were so expensive, they were not used in the military until Alexander the Great made them commonplace. Horses were first used to pull chariots into battle around 1500 BCE. But people did not start riding into battle on horseback until 900 BCE. There is a weakness of chariots used in battle that they were easily defeated, if the enemy could attack before the chariots could get up to full speed. Since the horses had to pull so much weight, it could take a while for the horses to get to their maximum speed. This weakness is a reason for the switch from chariot warfare to horseback. While the Greeks were not the first to ride on a horse, Alexander the Great used this tactic in his military campaigns, much more than leaders before him. However, horse riding supplies did not appear at that time, which led to the difficulty of combat on horseback. There were no saddles during this time, so the rider sat on a blanket on the horse's back. This could be dangerous because the blankets were so slippery. There were no stirrups during this time either, so riders had to hug onto the belly of the horse with their legs, and hope they didn't fall off. From the age of 13, Alexander began to take basic and advanced lessons, desperately practicing commands and habits in order to better meld the horse. We can only speculate because history tells us so little about what this actually looked like. The art of horsemanship and Hipparchus are the earliest known references on horses, written by Xenophon, deals with military training and the duties of the cavalry commander. It could tell us something. For example, grabbing them in with brute force to mount a horse. Using a spear as a makeshift ladder. Standing with legs apart when mounted to save your energy. Using the spur when the horse is about to leap over any obstacle to make a safer jump. Each had its own specific applications, and all would have been mastered by this athletic young prince. At the same time, Philip II invited the great philosopher Aristotle as Alexander's teacher, who stimulated and cultivated Alexander's interest in literature, science, medicine, and philosophy. Finally got a fighting chance when he was 16 years old. In 340 BCE, Philip II appointed Alexander as regent. The young man assembled his troops to defeat the Thracians on the frontier. This was Alexander's first battle attempt, which laid a good foundation for the subsequent succession to the throne. The ambitious Philip II planned a grand pan-Hellenic campaign, that is, to rule all Greek to war against the Persian Empire. Before that, he had already gained control over most of his neighbors and united them as an alliance. Unfortunately, on the eve of the expedition, Philip II was assassinated by his own bodyguard. Alexander was then proclaimed king by the Macedonian army and noblemen in 336 BC. Alexander spent the next 13 years, helping his father accomplish the great cause of unification. Bucephalus and Alexander were inseparable. As long as Bucephalus was equipped with the royal trappings, he would suffer no one but only Alexander to mount him. The Warhorse accompanied Alexander to witness and participate in dozens of battles, large and small, and achieved victories. On one occasion, after the final defeat of Darius III, the Achaemenid king of Persia, Bucephalus was kidnapped by a group of Persians while Alexander was away on an excursion. Upon returning and learning of the theft, Alexander was outraged. He promised to fell every tree, lay the countryside to waste, and slaughter every inhabitant in the region. The horse was soon returned along with a plea for mercy. Within 8 years, Alexander led his army over mountains and rivers, and ruled Minor Asia, Egypt, Syria, Mesopotamia, Bactria, and India in turn. That is to say, Alexander extended his territory eastward from modern-day Turkey to the Indian border. In 326 BC, as most historians believed, Bucephalus died at the age of 30 after the Battle of Hydaspes, near a town of modern-day Punjab, Pakistan. Alexander also founded a town here and named it Bucephala after his horse, which was later renamed to what it is now for some reason, Jalalpur Sharif. In the third year after the death of Bucephalus, Alexander died in Babylon, modern-day Iraq, at the age of 32 because of a fever on the way back to Macedonia. Prior to his death, Alexander had also made plans for a Hellenic military and mercantile expansion into the Arabian Peninsula, after which he planned to turn his armies to Carthage, Rome, and the Iberian Peninsula in the west. However, Alexander had no direct heirs. The Diadochi abandoned these plans after he died. Instead, they began a series of military campaigns against each other, and divided the territories of the Macedonian Empire among themselves. A great empire thus sank with the death of Alexander. The tale of Alexander and Bucephalus continues to leave us with many priceless legacies today. Battle of the Guernicus is a painting by Charles Le Brun from 1665, that is currently on display at the Louvre in Paris. There are also many outstanding pieces of literature that vividly depict the events of the tale of the courageous boy and his warhorse from more than 2,000 years ago. In 1997, a scientist in Pakistan named Abdul Qadir Khan built a new monument on the same spot where Bucephalus died, which is now in Jalalpur Sharif, Pakistan, to commemorate this great historical deed. It is a big building with a blend of Greek architecture. It has several rooms, and the roof is used as a big platform on which there are four-sided Greek-style arches. It is made of marble and its white building attracts from a distance. As a general, Alexander is among the greatest the world has known. His strategy was skillful and imaginative, and he knew how to exploit the chances that arise in every battle, and may be decisive for victory or defeat. His use of cavalry was so effective, that he rarely had to fall back upon his infantry to deliver the crushing blow. Alexander's short reign marks a decisive moment in the history of Europe and Asia. His career led to the moving of the great centers of civilization eastward, and initiated the new age of the Greek territorial monarchies. It spread Hellenism in a vast colonizing wave throughout the Middle East and created, if not politically at least economically and culturally, a single world stretching from Gibraltar to the Punjab, open to trade and social intercourse and with a considerable overlay of common civilization, and the Greek koine as a lingua franca. It is not untrue to say that the Roman Empire, the spread of Christianity as a world religion, and the long centuries of Byzantium, were all to some degree the fruits of Alexander's achievement. Simultaneously, many historians have criticized Alexander as he spent much of his time killing and directing killing, and, arguably, killing was what he did best. He was also once described as a drunken juvenile thug because of his violence and rashness. War has never stopped in the long river of human history. It is a disaster for humanity. And it appears to be the only way for humanity to progress to civilization. The most important thing is how each individual in this society views and summarizes the history, as this will determine the course of humanity's journey. Horses, as one of humanity's most devoted companions, have never left the stage. Alexander was accompanied by Bucephalus for 18 years. Consider how many years there are in a person's life. If you are one of those who raise horses, would you feel lucky and grateful that there is such a spiritual and loyal creature exists in the world? Bucephalus and Alexander could be the perfect match arranged by God. They have outperformed each other and left an indelible mark on human history. We leave some history homework for those who are interested. Alexander established more than 20 cities named after him while conquering new territories. Can you name some of them, and do you know where they are? Thank you for watching. If you like this great and fascinating story, please follow us and we will continue to bring more great stories about horses. We are committed to helping people know more about the world by telling history. See you in the next one.